Lebanon Valley to check out the Susquehanna. Well, he came through here. Yep. So he was on horseback, came through Lebanon Valley, and he was very impressed because the Lebanon Valley had such good water sources. We had the Satara Creek, we still do, Tulpehocken Creek, Quittapahilla Creek, many springs, many other water sources, and he envisioned a canal to be dug from the Schuylkill River, Philadelphia area, to the Susquehanna River in order to transport not only people but cargo. But it was 1690. So he didn't have the money, he didn't have the technology here in the Americas at the time, and he certainly didn't have the people to do it. But he wrote about it in his journal. And he wrote not only about it possibly happening, but he knew exactly how he wanted to transverse that canal from the Schuylkill to the Susquehanna. Well, it just stayed in his journal for a number of years until about 1762 or 1762, when a group of men called the Philosophical Society, Benjamin Franklin was part of it, came across the journal and pens note about a canal connecting the Schuylkill and Susquehanna, and thought that was a very good idea. So they sent two men, David Rittenhouse was one, to the Lebanon Valley to check the feasibility of that happening. And when they checked it out, did a survey, went back to Philly. Now I know they didn't do this, but essentially they said, thumbs up, it's going to work. So the idea of connecting the Schuylkill and Susquehanna River was going to be a reality to transport goods and people. It was in the early 1700s. So of course, 1765, when he came back and said this, what was going to happen very shortly after that time? The American Revolution.
I saw a dragon.
Yep. And so nothing happened because the war was occurring. And it wasn't until about 1792, when the Pennsylvania legislature decided they needed to get cargo moving in Pennsylvania, and especially to push Philadelphia as a port. So they incorporated two canal companies, the S&D to connect the Schuylkill into Delaware, and the S&S to connect the Schuylkill River and the Susquehanna River. And the S&S started digging, if you're local, on 422, the Tulpehocken plantation, right around that area. They got, maybe about 8 miles of canal dug and about 4 locks and elevator for water, and they ran out of money. And it stagnant. It didn't continue. So the legislature needed to get something done because at the time roads weren't real good, railroads weren't feasible at the time. Canal was really the best way to transport goods. So it was in 1811 the Pennsylvania legislature incorporated the two canal companies into one to make a Union Canal Company, and they were tasked to join the Schuylkill River and the Susquehanna River. So crews started on Schuylkill River from here to the east, and they progressed west. Crews started at the Susquehanna River and started digging east. Where they were going to meet and what divided them was what we're approaching right now. On the starboard side, this ridge divided the two companies. They needed to actually drill through the ridge to connect in order to finish the canal, of course, but also to tap into the water from the Satara Creek, which is up north. Now, as we're approaching this, take a look at how high this is. It's when they were digging this way, they had to move all this soil, all this rock, and put it someplace on the backs of men. It was 1825 to 1827 when the tunnel was dug, and there were no pneumatics, there were no steam shovels, it was all manual labor. And I'll talk about that, how it was dug on the way here, or way back through the canal. The way through the tunnel, I'm going to talk about the geology that was exposed by the tunneling. Now, right now, the tunnel is about 629 feet in length. Originally, it was about 720 feet in length. In the 1850s, the canal was widened, and also the tunnel was heightened and made wide and shortened. As we're entering the tunnel, we're entering on the south side, and that's the hardest rock of this ridge. As we progress through, it gets more of a shaly mix, which is still very sturdy and very strong, but it's not as hard as the limestone. As we're entering, I want you to look, follow the spotlight, to look at the geological things that are really exposed by this tunnel. As we enter, you can see multiple colors, and the orange is iron, and the green is copper, and that's from water that comes through the rock, dissolves the minerals, the copper minerals, the iron minerals, and then it evaporates and it leaves the mineral. Right here, that's the result of an earthquake that happened about 130 million years ago. You can see how the rock is up and down. Normally, oh, that's it. Yep. Sorry.
Okay. It's getting closer to the other end.
Yep. It was just a log.
Oh, I thought it was a snapping turtle.
Yeah, well, it could have been. So, of course, you can see the discoloration for the iron. I should have been looking for it, but anyway. And you notice there's water dripping down. We haven't had much rain lately, unfortunately. But if it rained, would have rained heavy about 2 weeks ago, the water takes that long to come down 80 feet of soil and rock and worms and bugs and drop right behind your glasses. It takes that long to just seep through the stone. And here on the port side, you can see flowstone. And flowstone is the result of water that dissolves mineral, and when it comes and flows on positive sloping walls, the water evaporates, and it leaves, it's a lot of plant life in here, it leaves the mineral deposited on the wall. And our flowstone is only maybe an inch thick, so it's roughly 200 years old. And if you ever had the good fortune of going to the big caverns, whether it's the Lincoln Cavern, Louvre, or even local Indian Echo Cavern, their flowstone are inches or yards thick. So you have an idea of how slow geologic time really is. And if you notice on the wall, there's these straight lines, sort of indents, and they are man-made. They are actually the result of the workers drilling through the stone, and I'll talk about that on the way back. Now, did anybody see any bats?
Nope, not yet. I wanted to see a bat, but
Oh,
nope.
well, you won't, I'm sorry to say. We don't have bats in here. The bats, the species of bats around here don't like to roost above water, so they don't come in here to roost. Now, we do have birds and things that come in at the entrance and exit for insects, but the bats don't seem to want to make a home in here. So, of course, here on the left side, the port side, is again the remnants of that earthquake. You can see how the rock is up and down instead of side to side. That makes it very, very difficult to drill through. And the drill marks go all the way down below the water. And like I said, I'll talk about that more on the way back. So as we are exiting, You're exiting on the north side. And the original tunnel, as I said, was longer originally. And so as we're advancing through here, there's a bench here on the port side, the left side. Right around the end of that bench is about where the original tunnel would have extended. So it gives you an idea of the length. Now, Captain Marty has a motor back there and a rudder. Back in the day when this was a working canal, they didn't have that. What do you think was used? I'm going to ask you two young ladies. Was used to actually make this canal boat move? What? A steering wheel. Okay. Any other? What? Come on.
The ones that have like paddles on the side.
Okay, a paddle wheel. Yeah, actually they tried a paddle wheel in the Union Canal, which really was bizarro, but it displaced too much water and it just made a mess. No, what they actually used were mules. Now, a mule is a cross between a donkey and a horse, and the mule had a special harness on and a collar and would be hooked up here in front. There'd be a rope on my canal boat, and the mule would be walked along the tow path. And it would not be by itself, because mules are very smart. If they would pass like a watermelon patch or cantaloupe or tomato even, they'd go over and take a bite. Well, where the mule would go, where do you think the canal boat would go? With the mule. And nobody would be happy but the mule, who's happily munching the fruit of its labor. So what they would do for the tunnel, the mule would not come on board, and it would not swim. It would be unhooked on the other side of the tunnel by the person walking with it, and then walked over the ridge, and you see that fence line below, behind the shrubs that's there. That's a mule line, actually, where that mule and the person walking it should be coming down, and we should be able to meet it here and then hook up again, and then the mule will be the power for the canal boat. Now, to get through the tunnel, it would be poled through with poles. Probably not the captain, but somebody lower than he would pole the full canal boat through the tunnel. And I've read that at least one canal boat had lumber that was pyramidally put on the canal boat, but a flat top, and the captain climbed up, laid on his back, and actually put his feet on the ceiling and walked his canal boat through the tunnel. You could do that because of physics and weight dispersion over water. You'll learn about physics and hope you enjoy it.
I see the fish.
There are fish here. Yes, we have bass, we have sunnies, we have carp, we have catfish. So anyway, they get enough food. So anyway, we are on what's considered the north side, and it's also the end of the summit of the Union Canal. The Union Canal basically had three parts. From the Schuylkill River, it ascended, it gained altitude up to the summit, which is in Lebanon, about 7 miles, and then it was sort of flat, and then it descended down to the Susquehanna River. Now ahead you could see a bridge, and it's really a dam. It's the end of our waterway here in the park, but right beyond that dam on private property is a pond and also a lock. And that lock is designated 1 West because it's the first lock west of the summit descending down to the Susquehanna River. The Union Canal was basically 83 miles in length from the Schuylkill to the Susquehanna with 92 locks. That's a lot of locks. At the time, the Erie Canal was completed in 1825. Up north, different topography, different geography, but that was 363 miles in length. That originally only had 83 locks. So you have an idea of the Union Canal had a lot of elevation. The lock is an elevator for water, a lot of elevation to accommodate. Plus the summit being above all the water sources and also dug through limestone had a tendency to leak, like, to quote the one supervisor, a colander. So they had to constantly fight to keep water within the Union Canal, especially the summit. And they did that twice. Twice they actually emptied portions of it and then planked it, had wooden planks and planked it up. And of course, water, when wood is in water, it swells up, so it kept it pretty watertight, but wood rots. And so they did it at least twice, but it was very expensive. And they decided that that doesn't work. So you can take a look at the dam there as we turn around. Oh, one thing, this vessel that you're sitting on, it's a replica of a Union Canal boat. It's the width a boat would be, but it's not the length. We only have about a half length or maybe a third of a length, because if we had it as long as the original Union Canal boats, we couldn't turn around. There is a man with a sledgehammer, probably 2 9-pound head, and would bang it, and then the one holding would turn it, bang it, turn it, bang it, turn it. And I'm sure they worked as quick as they can. Time was money. They probably had to purchase their own equipment because they had to do that in the coal regions. So I'm assuming at the same time frame that each one of these drilled holes behind it are 2 Irish immigrants, maybe 3. They could have had 2 with a sledgehammer working at the time to drill those holes in order to fill with an explosives. Now, would you want to be the one holding the drill bit or the one with the big sledgehammer? They didn't use a little hammer like this. It was a sledgehammer. I don't know. I've never come to that conclusion. Yeah, either one would be a little... Yeah, either one, to say the least, would be icky. So they would drill and make those holes. There was no water in the tunnel at the time. They used ladders, scaffolding, in order to get height. You can see there's drill holes below the water line in here. So each drill hole, once it was drilled in, it had to be filled with explosives. And the explosives, dynamite, was not invented yet. So what they had to use was black powder. And black powder was very dangerous. Black powder involved 3 distinct elements. One was charcoal, one was potassium nitrate or saltpeter, and another one was sulfur. Sure. Yep. All right.